Hi everybody, I'm Tanishka. You might know me as the Moon Woman, and it's time to share what is coming through me for this new moon in Virgo that we're approaching. So as I film this, it will be in exactly 1 week. So today is exact last quarter moon. So it's the beginning of the fourth and final week of the lunar cycle. So in this final week, it's when, we really start to slow down and we become more introspective. This is a time for reflecting, a time for really making sense of the experiences that we've had in the last 3 weeks, the lessons that we've learned. So if you don't have a practice of journaling or meditating, even if you just do it for this last week of the lunar month, that is really, really going to help you to stop creating, needless drama or experiencing, higher highs and lower lows just by having that, that practice. And also, if you don't feel particularly social this week, then that's cool. That's part of it, This is archetypally the time of the mage and the magi. So, the queen, the enchantress, the sorceress, and the magi, the magician. So these are akin to middle age, these archetypes, So it's when we mature. It's when every month, regardless of our chronological age, we really learn to harvest and take full responsibility for the choices that we've made and the impact of those choices. So in terms of the lunar wheel, whatever choices we made last new moon, so 3 weeks ago, this is an opportunity to reflect on how those choices played out. So coming up to new moon in Virgo, we've just had a week ago the full moon in Pisces, and yeah, that was a doozy, wasn't it, for a lot of us? Oh my gosh. Yeah. So some of you, as I was, may have been taken to the bottom of the ocean floor. And well done on surviving it, because Pisces asks us to dissolve, that something needs to die. It's an attitude, a perspective, behaviors. And as we approach the opposite sign, Virgo, for this new moon, because the new moon and the full moon will always be in the opposite, it's an opportunity to complete that axis, that polarity, and to really ground the mystic insights that we got through feeling, through going into our pain, going into our emotions, and seeing what they taught us, So we've got a lot of Earth happening this new moon. We have seven planets in Earth signs. So, this is a time for not thinking, really being kind to our bodies. I mean, this is like shining the flashlight on where are we betraying our bodies. Our bodies are our best friends. They take so much flack from us, so much egoic criticism or abuse, in the choices that our inner child makes, seeking self-soothing and comfort, and this is a time to really revere our bodies, the wisdom of every cell in the consciousness of our bodies. So yeah, if you have any dis-ease, any illness coming up in the body, have a chat with your body. Take your awareness in and ask, okay, thank you for holding this. What are you trying to alert me to? What do I need to do to honor you so that you're not carrying this anxiety, this discord, which can often come when the inner self and the outer self aren't working together. So if our external life is not matching what our internal joy is, then our physical health is impacted. particularly at the moment, it'll be shining a flashlight on work, because Virgo rules the 6th house on the zodiac wheel, which is all about work, routines, health. And so the two actually go hand in hand, because for a lot of people, it's their work that makes them sick. Yeah, because it's not aligned with their soul gifts and what it is they're here to do, our sacred service. And that changes. So on a cyclic basis, this time every year, we need to stop. We need to review, and we go, okay, where have I outgrown this, you know, and what am I now inspired to do? You know, that full moon in Pisces really gave us access through the 6th chakra to our subtle senses, to the dreaming, to, okay, there's an opportunity for me to have a bigger dream, you know. So and I know I've been just channeling the new chapter of my work, which is, you know, very different from what I've done for the last 22 years, and yet it's a big extension. I couldn't have done it without that foundation. So I really urge you to you know, be honest with yourself about, okay, how am I feeling about my work? You know, where am I not feeling energized? Where am I not feeling so enthusiastic? You know, where am I feeling that sort of, oh, I've got to do that again, you know, and review it, okay? And I'm not suggesting everybody, you know, closes their business doors or quits their job. You know, it's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's about cyclic review, okay? And Virgo, I mean, we're going to have the sun and the moon in Virgo. The sun is in Virgo for this solar month. And the strengths that Virgo assists us with, interesting lisp anyway, is to really review and analyze what is working, what isn't, what is viable and sustainable and what isn't, what is practical and what isn't, okay? So if we are to sustain being of service to the greater good, to the Earth Mother, first and foremost, it has to be sustainable for us. You know, those of you who have followed me for a while will see from time to time somebody says, oh, you shouldn't charge money for spiritual service. And it is laughable, because you wouldn't dream of saying that to a plumber. You know, we've all got to eat. We've all got to put a roof over our heads. And, you know, it costs money in a monetarized culture to sustain giving a service, no matter what that service is. Okay, so yeah, those of you that are working in the holistic industry, you may be tested on that around this time. But this is an opportunity for all of us to honor that archetype of the priestess, the priest, the vessel, who says, okay, Spirit, I am at your disposal. Use my mind, my words, my hands, use all the gifts that I have to fulfill divine will, okay? And once we make that commitment, then that unlocks our genius, yeah? So, you know, when we're stuck in ego and we're trying to be good and we're trying to impress people with how much talent we have and I'm enough, you know, you're always going to be feeling that you're not. You're always going to be like, oh, I wonder what other people are doing, and stuck in competition and maybe pinching someone's ideas, or, you know, you're not seeing your own gold. Whereas when we make that really honest commitment to be the vessel, okay, and this is all of us, it doesn't matter, you know, whether you're working in the holistic industry or, you know, we're all doing divine service, yeah? You can change lives as a mechanic. It's how you do the job. It's the quality, the energy that you bring, and the integrity with which your actions honor your claims, your words. So, and we need all services, yeah? The world wouldn't function if everyone was a bloody clairvoyant. So, you know, so I don't even know where I was going with that, but interesting. So yes, we are all the vessel, And, you know, I've spoken about in my talks Hanuman, the monkey god, since I'm here in Ubud and this was his home, the way that he transitioned from being a monkey, which is how humans are referred to if they're not initiated into the mysteries, if they're not self-actualizing, they're considered monkeys, you know, just they're only in their animal self, in their bottom three chakras. So the way that Hanuman transitioned from being a monkey to a god is that he dedicated himself to serve. And so we have, for this coming new moon, depending on which side of the date line that you're on, either the 9th or the 10th of September, we have 7 planets in Earth, as I said before, but also a grand Earth trine. So I'll just pull up what those planets are. So we have Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Virgo. So that's the outer self, ruled by the Sun, which is the persona, the masculine, the active part of us. The inner self, which is the feminine, the soul part that's ruled by the moon, and Mercury, the planet of communication, all in Virgo, the sign of sacred service and sacred space and health. Then we have Mars, Pluto, and Saturn, all in Capricorn. So Mars finally direct after 2 months. Which is our ability to move forwards, to take action. And that is in Capricorn, which Capricorn's quite a conservative sign. It's the one that, you know, the goat that will climb the mountain just because it's so important to them what it is that they're doing, that even when they're absolutely pushed to the limits and they don't feel they can go on, they will just keep putting one hoof in front of the other to get up that, you know, vertical rock face. So to have Mars in Capricorn is wonderful. It means that we're going to put in the grunt work that's needed to create our legacy, to create something that we can be proud of. We've also got Pluto. Was demoted from being a planet, so it's now officially a planetoid, so, you know, sort of halfway in size between an asteroid and a planet. Pluto is actually going to be forming a trine, which is a 60-degree angle to the sun and moon this new moon. And so that's giving us this gift of transformation to really access more personal power. But the key is, if we're prepared to face our shadow, to own our shadow and be responsible for it, particularly with it in Capricorn. So people often say to me, what do you mean when you're talking about the shadow, you know? The shadow is simply the things we don't know that we're doing or that we're thinking. So it's the stuff that's here. It's not in our awareness. And this is the saboteur, okay? So this is what's unconsciously driving all of our behaviors, and you'll find that the more compulsive our behaviors, you know, the more we're being, you know, driven unconsciously by subconscious thoughts and patterns of behavior that we probably learned in childhood in order to stay safe, but as adults we need to review them. So we've also got Uranus in Taurus. So it moved in April this year. It's going to be there for 7 years. Uranus it's the planet of destiny. It's, you know, like the lightning bolt, the transmission of wake up, you know. So this 7 years on the planet is when we're going to have more people waking up, you know, like popcorn, and it needs to happen. And the earth is going to help with that. Yeah, the earth mother, by shaking, by rattling the soul cage. Wake up. So, yeah, we also have Saturn in Capricorn. Now, Saturn, if we look at the rings around Saturn, that gives us a bit of a clue. It's very much about cyclic wisdom. What do I mean by that? I mean, we learn through repetition, through doing something over and over again. We learn to identify what's working and what isn't. So Saturn rules Capricorn, so it's in its home sign. So, you know, this is like shit getting real, you know, with Earth trine, 7 planets in Earth. I mean, we are really getting real. It's like this is about showing up and saying, okay, I'm going to make my life count in the biggest way possible. I'm going to face my fears and I'm going to make the biggest choices possible because the stakes are that high. Okay. So this is a time when, you know, we are all being pressed to make sure that our physical world really counts for what our deepest values are. So the Earth trine, we've got Mercury, so the planet of communication in Virgo. We've got Saturn, again, in Capricorn, and we've got Uranus in Taurus. So, yeah, it's huge. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some big shakes and rumbles and heaves from the Earth Mother this week, particularly over the weekend into Monday, because, yeah, that's a lot of Earth. So, you know, it's not about going into fear. It's about being in a state of awareness and understanding that the more that we make the physical changes, every single one of us has fractals of the whole, the less she's got to, you know, do it all for us, so to speak. So, you know, normally as we approach new moon, there's a feeling like, oh, I need to go to ground. Now, this whole month has been like that. I know it has been for me with, you know, this axis of the Pisces full moon and the sun in Virgo now coming into new moon in Virgo. Because this is, you know, the axes I spoke last time about the mystic and the priest, priestess. So these are very internal archetypes. So if you do feel the need to just take space, listen, don't chide yourself for it and push yourself to be outward and social if you actually don't feel like you've got it. Because, you know, in the next solar month when the sun moves into Libra, wow, it doesn't get more social than that. So the more we tend to the self, to our spiritual needs, and make sure that we make the changes that address our spiritual needs, then we're going to have a lot more fun when the sun moves into Libra. Okay, so health is really, really going to be under the spotlight. So if you've got anything niggling going on with your body, this is definitely the time to get it checked out. This is also the time to review our habits, our routines, because these are the cyclic structures that provide the scaffolding, the structures of support for our life. And so if these are not healthy routines, healthy habits, it's like our foundations are being eroded, like we have white ants in the foundations, you know, they're being corroded. And this is when people end up having that reflected in the hologram with cancerous cells eating away their bones or the, you know. So it's very important that we understand everything is mirroring everything else. So, you know, don't leave it to your body to go, hey, you know, time you reviewed the habits, you know, consciously review our habits and make them life affirming, so that at that crossroads that the full moon in Pisces really got us to confront, where are we choosing life or are we choosing death with our cyclic choices, with our habits? So basically, the more unhealed we are, the more fragmented our psyche, all the different aspects, not coherent, the more we reach for a quick fix to feel good or to keep it all together, okay? That might be, you know, substances, it might be workaholism, it might be being addicted to the group mind, you know, seeking, you know, external authority to tell you what to do. There's so many ways that people avoid themselves. But the more healed we are, the more integrated the archetypes that make up our psyche, the more we are the witness who's seeing the interplay and the acting out of those different aspects, consciously understanding them, the less we need, you know, external quick fixes, crutches, you know, because we're not you know, we are all together, so to speak. So if you're wanting more insight into how to integrate the different archetypes that make up your psyche, then check out my books. For women, The Inner Goddess Makeover. There's actually an online course if you prefer something that's more, you know, experiential and you know, has live videos. So if you're not someone that likes to read, if you're more a visual learner or an auditory learner, then, you know, check that out. But also Creating Sacred Union Within, which has the integration of the masculine and the feminine archetypes. So that's for men and women. So just to have a map of those different aspects means that we can then harness their strengths and temper their weaknesses and drive a bus that's not careening off the road because of the conflicting behaviors and beliefs and unconscious patterns of our different archetypal selves. You know, the word psyche means soul. So if we want to have a soul-fulfilling life or a soul-fulfilling relationship, we can't avoid doing the work with our archetypes. So, it's what was considered central in the ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia, Egypt, you know, Atlantis, Lemuria, the advanced cultures that the empires have made out to be, you know, backward, but we're in fact more advanced than our own. So, you know, even, I mean, things started to change in ancient Greece, but the temples of Asclepius throughout ancient Greece, there were 300 of them. They were all working to piece together the archetypes, the mythic gods and goddesses. So there's still places, if you want to join me here in Bali in December, to integrate those aspects personally with me over a week. So you can check that out on my website. It's called the Rainbow Bridge Retreat, and it's December 9 to 17 here in Ubud. If you're worried about quakes and volcanoes, I know the media really is, you know, perpetrating fear a lot. Here in Ubud, there has not been any destruction from either. We are far enough away from both Lombok and Mount Agung to not pose a problem, thankfully. So, yeah, if you feel called, don't let fear be a deterrent, is my advice. So, and if you want some inspiration on anchoring happy habits, because otherwise, like, oh God, where do I start? You know, I've written a lovely little book called the 28-Day Happy Challenge, and it's just a practice where every day before you go to bed, you read just 2 pages, and it's an inspiration for another habit that is life-affirming, that is joyful, that is going to make your life you know, more succulent, more connected, more joyful on a daily basis. So, and all the proceeds go to the survivors of sex trafficking, both children and adults. So it goes to the Art to Healing Foundation, created by Atira Tan. So a really worthwhile project to get behind, and you get a great book. So let's now speak about the shadow of Virgo, because, you know, as the lunar light wanes, we can't help but experience the darker side of the sign that the moon is in each month. And for Virgo, that's perfectionism. So those of you who are walking a life path of 6 numerologically will also find this, you know, acute at the moment. So perfectionism happens when we get stuck in the rational mind, which is just the 10% of our intelligence. It's not the 90%, which is when we plug in with intuition to the universal quantum field, the divine intelligence. And when that's running us, we get caught up with wanting everything to be improved, to you know, and there's nothing wrong with self-improvement. In fact, it's one of the strengths of Virgo that we look at what can be improved. But if we don't balance it with an appreciation of the inherent perfection in everything, the timing of the process, the flaws and the wounds and the faults that act like the grain of sand that creates the pearl of wisdom. You know, there is a divine perfection in every flaw that we have, or that another person has, or that the world has. And so when we remember this, we don't get so tunnel vision with that inner critic that we can't stop, we can't rest until everything is perfect, you know. And this is what drives people to be compulsive, you know, OCD behavior, obsessive compulsive disorder. So, you know, when you can't just stop and relax and say that's enough. And for those of you that can be like that, I really recommend getting away, having a change of scenery, getting away from, you know, your work or the domestic chores, because they'll always be there, you know, so that you can just come back to the inherent perfection in life. And time and nature is what gives us that, you know, coming back to earth, to the elements. So I'll give you an example. I went down to the beach for the weekend. Woohoo! And after the huge emotional roller coaster of Pisces, I cried so much I got bloody cystitis for a day, you know, because I was so dehydrated. But of course, water, when it is, what's the word? When it stagnates, things become murky, things aren't clear. And it makes sense that for those of you that had a big journey, particularly the water signs out there, or those with their moon in a water sign, you know, will have had a big emotional time, I dare say, in the last few weeks. But that element is also what heals us. So I was boogie boarding for 3 hours yesterday. The only thing that drove me out of the surf was getting a friction rash on my thighs. But, you know, the joy of being in your element, literally, you know. So if you're an earth sign, get in some mud. Yeah, if you're an air sign, go stand and get the wind to just blow away the cobwebs. And if you're a fire sign, maybe not walk on fire, but at least scry into a fire or build a fire, you know, that's good medicine. And likewise, you know, if there is an element that hasn't been honored, that has been neglected, then, you know, this is a really good time while we've got, you know, the focus on Earth, this new moon, to rebalance by communing with whatever element is lacking in your life. For example, if you are somebody who never cries, who never shows emotion, who's always priding themselves on how stoic they are, chances you do need to get in the element of water. You need to soften so that you're not brittle and rigid. Or if you're somebody who has so much fire that you're very impatient, you know, you scatter yourself too thinly because you're creatively enthused by lots of different things, you know, very, very excitable, and maybe, you know, quick to anger. If you're someone that has a lot of fire, then maybe don't go and get in a sauna, you know. Instead, think about, you know, an element that will be soothing. So, you know, earth, yeah, go and just lie on the earth or walk in the forest. So, you know, this is about, you know, understanding the alchemy of the elements. And, you know, we've got a lot of alchemy going on this new moon. I just, what was that note I made about it? Let me just grab that. So, yeah. So we have Neptune. So the planet that rules Pisces, it's going to be directly opposite this new moon and forming a trine, so a 60-degree harmonious angle to Jupiter, the planet of expansion, which is currently in Scorpio. So we are being urged to expand through inner alchemy. So what is inner alchemy? It's an ancient tantric practice of turning ourselves from a base metal into a gold. So, you know, our base metal nature is the, you know, operating out of our basest desires, urges, instincts without question, without bringing the consciousness of thought to them. You know, if we want to transmute that into gold, gold is the energy of consciousness, of wisdom. And so the more that we understand our base urges, instincts, you know, the animal part of us, instead of disassociating from it and seeing it as less than, you know, the more that we see, what can I learn from this? What can it teach me? Because when we disassociate from our base self, we miss the gold in that, you know. We're not grounded. We're not able to survive by harnessing the elements. And for the women, if you want to, you know, really enter into a state of deep communion with the elements on a level like you haven't before, you might want to check out, I've got a 5-day short digital program. You just get 1 email a day, but it's got experiential processes and meditations to and processes to really commune and align with each element as a, you know, as a shamanic process. So getting back to Virgo, Virgo is about self-improvement. So don't be surprised if, you know, there's a whole DIY kick going on around you this weekend. And, you know, it's great to look at what does need to be reviewed and analysed so that we can make it more efficient. So that's implementing systems, whether that's at home, you know, it might be that everybody has a chore to do on a cyclic basis. I know I've lived in share houses where we had the wheel of harmony and everyone had different jobs and we'd turn it every Monday, you know. So you could see very clearly who hadn't done their job. But the point is, you know, this is about us taking responsibility. That's an interesting, it's a pig squealing in the background. Oh, God. Speaking about our base natures. So take responsibility for the fact that our sacred space is, you know, reflective of the state of our vessel. So if your house is an absolute, you know, mess, then it's reflecting that inside there is no sacred space. There's so much, you know, confusion and mental chatter and trying to, you know, be perfect perhaps for other people, trying to be the perfect, you know, partner or potential partner or the perfect employee, the perfect boss, friend, whatever. If that's all going on, there's no space for spirit. And for those of you that have chronic sinus or, you know, bronchitis, these areas in the body where we are meant to have space, okay, like the sinuses, like the lungs, if they're filling up with fluid, yeah, or with, you know, just stuck energy, it's a sign that we are not creating space for spirit in our lives. So, you know, this is certainly a time, and I'll harp on about this, to have a sacred routine to start your day. It is the ultimate foundation platform for you to go out and be your best self, have your best day, and quality experiences. So, yeah, if you don't know where to start, then just, you know, listen to your body. It might be some gentle stretches to your favorite music. And from there you can always build upon it. So if we're not listening to our bodies, this is the month when they're really likely to sound the alarm. So, you know, and often it is related to our work. So this is a time to go and attend to the tasks that you put off. Yeah, to sort through those nitty-gritty details, whether it's filing, whether it's bookkeeping, you know, whether it's sorting out your pantry or your, you know, cleaning out your fridge, but doing the jobs that you put off, because you won't realize until you've done it how much better you feel, how much stuck, stagnant energy was actually being bound up in putting it off. Okay, so and as well as, you know, looking at the times in our life when we felt that we failed, that also holds a lot of old, grey, stagnant energy. And going back and going, okay, well, what do I learn from that? Review and analysis, yeah? Because then we extract the gold from that as well. Virgo helps us to problem solve and to find innovative solutions to things that previously we just went, I don't know how to do it. My example of that was boogie boarding again yesterday. And, you know, I was one of these people that had wished as a kid that I'd learnt to surf, you know, but I didn't. And there wasn't an opportunity, so it obviously wasn't meant to happen. But there was a Balinese surf lifesaver, surf instructor there on the beach yesterday, and he was watching me and he kept saying, you know how to read the waves, you know how to ride the waves. He said, you'd be great at surfing. And I said, oh God, no, I did a lesson once, you know, a number of years ago. I didn't have the thigh muscles to do the, you know, going from lying on the board to snapping up into a lunge position. It's, you know, and I have back issues. So I was like, no, not for me. And he said, no, you can do it. It's a matter of the right technique, and it's more about the knees. So giving it a go this week. But regardless, you know, it's about, don't dismiss something because you tried it once and you felt like you failed at it. You know, this is an opportunity to try it another way with Virgo by being skeptical but not cynical. I'll explain what I mean. So if we are skeptical, no, let's start with cynical. If we are cynical, we're just closed. No, I can't do it. Couldn't possibly. Tried it once. No. Whereas if we're gullible, oh yeah, I can do everything. I'm a really good surfer, blah, 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 right? If we are skeptical, that is the central path of moderation where we're not completely closed, but we're not completely open. So we filter whatever is being offered against our own intuition. Yeah. So in my case with this old Balinese, not old, but Balinese surf teacher, you know, the feeling I got was, yeah, I trust him intuitively. I'll give it a go with him. So, yeah. And this is, you know, what the mystic, the priest, priestess does. They filter everything against their intuition to guide their way. So one of the sort of keys for this week is don't put off doing what you can do today, because this is the time to do it. This is the time to get things sorted, get organized. And in doing that, we create the space for real creativity to happen. So what else do I want to say? It's a great time for a detox. So, excuse, I'll just slip on my cranberry. Hang on. Still rehydrating. Because we are now approaching the equinox, so for those in the northern hemisphere, it'll be the autumn equinox. For those in the southern hemisphere, it'll be the spring equinox. And the equinox is the time of perfect balance, okay, of masculine, feminine, light and shadow. And it's a very magical portal. And this is why in the ancient world, the initiations would start from the new moon prior to the equinox, which is why the descent of Ishtar or Inanna, the descent of Orpheus would happen for the maturation of men and women to then be, you know, functioning adults and able to do parenthood, able to do partnership, able to do sacred service. So, yeah, the Inner Goddess online course is the version of that for women, and I will happily create one for men in the near future. So, but this is, you know, the changing seasons of autumn and spring are when people are most susceptible to illness. So the reason for that is it's because it's when things need to change. And if we're not making those changes preemptively, if we're not growing, the body groans and says, sit down, shut up. And while you're feeling too sick to move, you're going to contemplate your life. So it's really good to be preemptive and do a detox because, you know, when we detox the mind, the emotions, the energy, and the physicality of ourselves, it's then much easier to be clear, crystal clear on, okay, so that's what I need to do. That's what I've outgrown. That's what I'm choosing to grow into, okay? And change can be scary, you know, because the unknown is the unknown. It's the chaos. It's the feminine principle. And so the ego, the rational mind's like, no, I just need to keep doing what I've been doing. But that is not the path of growth. So that is ultimately going to start decaying because it's had its time. So that shows up first in the body. So this is a good time to, you know, if you're not already drinking warm water with lemon to start your day, dry skin brushing with a horsehair brush, or if you're vegan, a loofah. But, you know, the skin is the biggest organ. So that is a great way to gently detox every day rather than putting yourself through, you know, extreme detox once a year, you know, which can be quite traumatic on the body. And, you know, just this is a really good time to start healthy habits, to review our nutrition, our exercise, our dietary needs, you know, perhaps go and see a naturopath and just get some tests done to see, all right, what minerals am I deficient in? Or, you know, where am I out of balance? Or to have an Ayurvedic treatment and see which doshas are out of balance so that you can, again, take supplements or adjust your diet. So this is the time to do that if you don't want to end up with colds and flu. What else do I want to say? I think that's about it. So have a great week, and thank you for watching. If you found this insightful and helpful, by all means, you've got my blessing to share this. Just, you know, please quote, well, of course it's me. You can't really, I was going to say quote the source. But, yeah, and, yeah, just really honour your sacred needs. That's not just having a beautiful space, but time, sacred time to yourself, to commune with that which just brings you back. And for me, that's the ocean. So I'm going there once a week from now on. So whatever is your elemental bliss, I encourage you to embrace it with both arms. And yeah, know that that is a path to wellness. All right, thanks for watching. I should just check that there aren't any comments I need to, because I was looking at another screen. Work's going to go mental. I've just crashed and had an ego death. Well done, Claire. The only way to go from there is up, love. Hello from the UK. Thank you, Heather. I've lost my motivation and mojo. I can't stay focused. Yeah, look, Lynn, this will pass. That's still the overhang of that Pisces full moon. So, you know, everything is murky in the depths. Everything is nebulous. So once we get past the new moon on the 9th or 10th of September, depending on where you're situated, you'll find mental clarity becomes stronger and stronger. You're a Virgo, so you're working that polarity. Interesting. So, yeah, when you're out of when Virgos are out of balance, they go into shadow Pisces. And same with Pisces. If a Piscean is out of balance, they'll go into shadow Virgo, which is workaholism, you know, being manic. So, yeah, that's why we need to look at a sign with its axes, with its polarity, if we want to be balanced. You're welcome, Am. Hi, Sue. I feel like there used to be a show on when I was a kid where she'd look through her magic mirror and she'd say people's names. And, of course, she never said my name, but, you know, I'm feeling like that, right? It was not Romper Stomper, that's a film about skinheads. Romper Room, that was it. I'm literally writing up a new health routine. Good for you, Ashley, you're right on track. The internet is my crutch and distraction. Yeah, look, I think for probably 80% of people these days that the cyber is the ultimate addiction. So great. Yeah, have one day where you completely unplug. R2 healing. No, I don't know what that is, Lucinda. Sorry, I'm not able to answer you. It's probably just me not enunciating clearly. Patricia, you were emotional. Yeah, believe me, me too. But, you know, the more that we clear our channel by getting out, you know, not just our own grief, the grief for our lineage, the grief for the collective, the more gold, again, the more downloads that we bring through. And I'm so excited by the downloads I've been bringing through as a result. So you've got to love the process. It's, you know, it's shamanic for all of us. I've needed 10 times water to help me swimming with kids, bath rituals. I felt like a goldfish trapped in a small bowl. Bless you, Ellen. Beautifully put. I need to build a fire with my words. Tears are stuck in my throat. Oh, good on you, Jackie, for knowing what it is you need to do. PM me more about your digital course. Miriam, just go to the website, love. It's themoonwoman.com, and it's on the homepage under short courses. It's Elemental Goddess. Trying to look into my life. I'm just scrolling through all your lovely comments. Thank you for being so interactive. Interesting. Sandra is saying that the moon will be new at exact 101 in LA and 201 in Ontario. So, yeah, nice digits, new beginnings, beautiful, especially in an 11 year. That's pretty full on. There's Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. Romper Room on the ABC. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, you're with me. You're probably the same vintage as me. I'm turning 48 in a couple of months. All right. Love you all. Thank you so much for being part of this community. And, yeah, thanks for joining in on the call. Blessings.